Now, less than 5 weeks after she resigned her cabinet seat over a dispute with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Chrystia Freeland has launched her campaign to replace him as Liberal Party leader. This morning, she posted this message to X, official launch Sunday, I'm running to fight for Canada. Freeland is running against former Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney, who held a public campaign launch event in Edmonton yesterday, The pair are the highest profile candidates in the race so far. Meantime, Federal Energy Minister Jonathan Wilkinson says he will not run for the leadership, saying he can help stand up to the Trump tariff threat by staying where he is. He writes, stepping aside from my position in cabinet at this critical time would not, in my view, best serve Canadians and the country I love so much. Also in the letter, Wilkinson suggests it may be time for new energy and new ideas in the Liberal Party. So if today's changes, we now have 5 confirmed candidates for the Liberal leadership race, with Burlington MP Karina Gould expected to also confirm her bid this Sunday. A source close to Gould's campaign says she's holding a media event that day. Now, as the field of candidates to replace Justin Trudeau becomes clearer, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre appears to be ramping up his campaign-style activities, holding public appearances, launching a new attack ad against Mark Carney, and pushing the call to axe the carbon tax. Let's dig in a little deeper into Mr. Poilievre's push to become our next Prime Minister. I'm joined by Lucas Meyer, a former political reporter and current senior consultant with public affairs firm Enterprise Canada. Lucas, the latest polling from Ipsos showing Conservative support rising since Trudeau's resignation. Do you think Mark Carney or Chrystia Freeland could change that trend?
Even if they did, it was likely not going to be very significant. Take away all of the external and contributing factors that are going to be going into this election. You have to remember, for those of us who cover elections and enjoy covering our elections, for the last 4 decades, there's really been a natural life cycle. You know, right now we're going for about a decade of Liberal reign, and then before that it was the Harper years, and before that it was the Liberals, and before that it was the Conservatives, and really we're on track for the natural cycle to continue, and in another 10 years the Liberals could very well come on back. But right now there are so many things going against the Liberal brand overall, whether it's Poilievre's surging popularity, the Conservatives being incredibly well-resourced, and of course most of the population has really kind of tuned out Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party, and it's so easy for the Conservatives to tie either Carney or Freeland to Trudeau. Obviously, Freeland was one of his top lieutenants, was finance minister, even though that resignation letter that she put out will go down in Canadian lore as one of the most insane days in Canadian political history. You could make an entire HBO show about it. It was amazing to watch, but there's so much going against the Liberals right now, especially with Carney coming in. Most people do not know who he is. We do. People who cover politics know who he is, but for the broad population in a tight time frame, the Conservatives have so much of an advantage. They've been high on the polls for a very long time. Pierre Poilievre, even during the Conservative leadership convention, said he was running for Prime Minister. So even though it's exciting to see whoever the new Liberal leader is going to be, by all accounts, by all indications, this is going to be a massive Conservative majority, barring what would be a truly miraculous for the Liberals collapse, which is probably not going to happen.
Now, Poilievre has been saying that Carney's a lot like Trudeau, specifically on the carbon tax. Do you think Canadians will agree with that, or do you think Carney's portrayal of himself as an outsider is pushing back on that narrative?
It's a very natural line for the Conservatives to use, and they've been waiting for it for a long time. It's been suspected that Carney would be wanting to jump in. It's been basically the most open secret in Ottawa political circles for a very long time. And look, this was going to be Justin Trudeau's hand-picked replacement for Chrystia Freeland. And so they have so much ammunition the Conservatives have to go on. They already have ads going out there. You're showing it right now, as well as whether it's quoting about him on the carbon tax, the wanting of Trudeau to bring in Carney post-Freeland. There's so much kind of material there that the Conservatives can use. It's going to be extremely difficult in a short time frame for Carney to kind of break that. It's certainly probably not going to be in this election. I think it's really important to understand that everybody in the Liberal Party knows this. They know know that they're going up against likely a big loss in the next election. So whoever is going to run has to be thinking that if they become Liberal leader, that they're in it for the long haul to try to rebuild the party. So Carney cannot make the case in enough time that he is, really an outsider now. The idea is to hopefully try to do that over the next, 1 or 2 election cycles, knowing that a loss is probably going to happen. Pierre Poilievre has been known in the Canadian kind of atmosphere for quite some time now. It's going to take a while for Carney to try to break out his own narrative. His leadership launch was not very successful so far, so he has a lot of work to make up with all of the momentum right now on the Conservative side.
Poilievre has campaigned on this idea of axing the carbon tax, and now he's rolling out this idea to reverse changes to the capital gains tax. That's what he says he's going to do if elected. What's less clear is what he's going to do with the dental care program and the pharmacare program that the Liberals and NDP have come in. All that considered, is there anything Poilievre can do to mess this up for himself and potentially lose this next election?
Matt, it's a great question. It would have to be something from the outside that we haven't seen yet. It would have to be a huge scandal. It would have to be something that is completely unprepared for, unseen. Because what you also need to remember is that the people around Pierre Poilievre, the people in the Conservative Party running this campaign, they have been waiting for this. They have very, very smart people around the table. They have all of the intelligence on both Chrystia Freeland, on Carney. And so they've been waiting for this. And so they're probably prepared for every possible line of attack that could come to them. So it would have to be, if they were to mess this up, it would have to be the biggest curveball that could not be controlled, that could not be prepared for. It's going to take such a massive, massive change for any chance of this to go down. Again, and we talked about this at the top, this is the natural cycle of politics. They have all the momentum. People have really tuned out the Liberal Party at this point, especially people who have voted for them many times before. So we are on our way to likely a massive Conservative majority, and it would take something absolutely insane that we haven't even thought of to really stop that train. That's the direction that we're going in right now.
That's Lucas Meyer with Enterprise Canada. Thanks very much, Lucas.